Welcome everybody back to Money Chats with Shalice. I'm also known as Mommy Trader here on YouTube. If you are not subscribed to my other channel, Mommy Trader, I have the link in my description box below. I also have a cash stuffing channel as well. I will be posting content on there this week. So make sure you guys go over and subscribe to that. That information will also be down below. You can also follow me over on Instagram, and I have other ways you can support the podcast. Below, I do appreciate everyone who, is supporting me on this new endeavor. And yes, I'm glad that you all are enjoying the podcast so far. So I did not post an episode this past Tuesday. I wasn't feeling the best. So I decided to take the day off. And so I'm glad that you guys have joined me. Please like this video. Hit the little bell notification. Leave me a comment. The algorithm loves engagement. So thank you guys so much for, just supporting me. Also, in terms of the time, so on, I post 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays. In terms of when the video will premiere or post, it'll be 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, okay? So 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays and 6 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays, okay? Because I only post twice a week. So without further ado, let's get started. So you guys saw the title of today's episode, The Pressure of Being First, or being the first to build wealth. And we don't often talk about the pressures of financial independence or financial freedom. And I think it's because we're focused, we have our eye on the prize, and we are really tenacious and encouraged and kind of, running on full steam when it comes to our goals, especially when we are getting started, right? We hit the ground running. But after a while, you're going to start to get this feeling of, I like I have to do this, right? And we're going to talk about, how that can be a good thing and a bad thing as well. Especially when it comes to my journey, right? These podcasts really are talking about, how my husband and I were able to kind of navigate and overcome a lot of the aspects of wealth building or financial freedom, financial independence, whatever you want to call it, these hurdles that, we don't often talk about in the finance community. And so let's talk a little bit about the good side. But before we get to the good side, I want to just briefly tell you, this pressure, I think many of us, me included, we decided to start this journey because we wanted something better, right? I think many of us get on this path of whatever it is, paying off debt, saving for emergency fund, buying a house, investing more, whatever it is. We got on this journey in the first place because we just wanted something better, which is not a bad thing. I think most of us as human beings desire something good. We desire something greater than, what we have. That's why many people will go to college. They will start businesses. They will form relationships. They want something better, and it's never a bad thing to strive for good, right? But when you are the first to do it, that's where sometimes it can get a little tricky, okay? And so let's talk a little bit about the good side of this, because I think, especially if you were like me, procrastinator central, you really would not have done any of the things I just mentioned: pay off a house or buy a house, pay off student loans, pay off debt, invest, become a millionaire, if you didn't have this force, this pressure, like jolting you to do it, right? I talk often about my husband and I's journey to getting started and having that come to Jesus moment where we were about to get evicted with a baby, a young child. And so, without that pressure to say, you know what, girl, you got to really get it together. Like you keep, saying, well, everybody falls down, or, you're giving yourself grace, or you're doing this or doing that. But at some point, if you keep doing the same wrong thing, the same bad thing over and over again, that's when you have to like sit down and say, all right, what's going on? Because you can't keep going around in this circle. It's not helping you to move forward. And like I said, a procrastinator, just, how you just will never do. You can say all day long, I'm going to work out, or I'm going to, declutter my house, or I'm going to create a budget. And you'll never, you never did it. A month will go by the goal is still sitting on the vision board. The pile of clothes is still sitting in the chair in your bedroom. What you said you would fold up, but you just never did it. Procrastination. And the good side of having pressure is that it forces you, like, come on, you got to do this. You got to get this done, because if you don't, what will happen is that you're just piling things up, and it's going to make the job, it's going to make the task, it's going to make the work much more harder to get under control. So me being having that procrastination type of spirit back then, if I didn't have that moment, and I do believe this was divine, where God said, all right, you got to get this nipped in the bud. I mean, it's not that you can't make mistakes, but we know, like, when we keep giving ourselves passes, and it's like, girl, you're 30, you got to do something different if you want something different. And having that pressure of, I gotta budget right. I got to, stay consistent with tracking our expenses. I have to have conversations with my husband on a regular basis. I have to dig deep and find what's causing me to overspend, and then use resources that I have available, like therapy or counseling, talking to my pastor, to help heal and to help overcome, right? Um, and I think once I did that, once I gave in to that pressure, I can tell you right now, I would not have, not even just I, my husband too, we would not be at this point of being millionaires right now if we didn't have that pressure then to, like, sink or swim, do or die. If we did not have that pressure then to make a change, Michael Jackson talks about the man in the mirror. If we did not make that change, we would not be here. I can tell you for a fact, I would not be investing, because I would not have had that push, that pressure to say, girl, you got to do better with your money. I would not have been a homeowner, because again, I was procrastination central. So, I would not have done it. It would have still remained a goal of mine, like this thought in the back of my head. Like, I would really like to own a home one day. I would really like to invest in the stock market one day, but it would have just remained an idea. And so I really am grateful for that pressure then. And it was almost like a contained, filtered, like, defined pressure, where it wasn't too much where it would cause me to go crazy, but it was like that fire that every time I would get lackadaisy, or I would just like not make it a priority, it would burn. So that's what I'm talking about here. Another good side of the pressure is that it'll force you almost to take the first step, right? I mean, many of us, you're like, we in our minds, we're taking the first, second, third, fourth, fifth step, but in reality, we're never moving forward. Whether it's, maybe navigating to another career field so that we can get a higher salary, for example. Taking the first step in terms of, let's say, networking can be hard, because if you are an introvert, if you are somebody who likes to keep to yourself, and to, let's say, network to get another job, you got to put yourself out there, that can be hard. But if you have that pressure of, I want something better, I want to feel appreciated at my place of employment, I want to, achieve my financial goals, then taking that first step, that pressure of, what, I know my worth, and I'm going to step out until I get it. That's a good type of pressure. That's a good type of push, because it's pushing you towards something where it's going to benefit you mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, in a positive way. A lot of us are stuck at dead end jobs, maybe in dead end relationships. We're just stuck, excuse me, guys, in situations where we really want to get out. We really want to, like, do better, elevate ourselves, but we want to take that first step. So having that pressure of stepping out is a good thing. And that's where faith comes in, right? If you can't see it all, you don't know it all, but if you believe that it's better, you take the first step. And, these two main points is one of the, and keep in mind, being this far in our journey all these years later, having these types of pressures continues to help me to invest more, save more, create more side hustles and side businesses to continue to grow and elevate more, because not only are we able to achieve our financial goals, but we can bless other people as well. So those are like the good points of the pressure, of the push of building wealth. Because like I mentioned, I don't believe I would have I would be here financially where my husband and I are at almost 40 years old if we didn't have that pressure at the beginning, that fire to get us moving on the right track, that sink or swim type of mentality. But on the other side, there's some not so great things that comes with, being the first to build wealth. When you grow up the way that I did, and it was hard to pay the bills, um the family dynamic just didn't know. So I don't want to say ignorance is bliss. I just think the older generation just did not know. So you can't really fault people for just not knowing, right? And so when you are the first to just try to budget correctly in your family, that's a lot of pressure because you have no direction. You have no guidance. You don't have someone to kind of go and sit down and just ask simple, basic questions about money to, right? So when you don't have that, the pressure becomes amplified because you don't even know which way to turn. You know in your heart, in your mind, that you want to budget. You want to do right by your money. You want to get ahead. You want to, create some financial goals. But I think a lot of times, many people, and this is all from all walks of life, don't achieve their greatest, let's say, their greatest potential because they just don't know. Education is a very, very powerful, it could be a very powerful weapon, or it could be a very powerful ally. When you know, when you have knowledge, when you have understanding to do anything, it changes the trajectory. Like my husband, and that's why I love this man so much. He is very, like, he could watch something and mimic it. I think that's why he's so successful at the work that he does with clinical trials, is that he doesn't need a whole lot of, like, I don't want to say hand holding, but he doesn't need a whole lot of like practice. He can read it or see it once and then emulate it. I'm not that way. I need to see it modeled several times. I need to read it several times and take notes several times, but that's just our learning styles. But under that, like if the opportunity wasn't even presented for us to learn, then can you imagine, like, just for example, nowadays, if you're feeling pressured in terms of how do I do this? How do I learn how to invest? How do I learn how to budget correctly, track my expenses? We have so much information at our disposal nowadays to help ease some of that pressure, that negative pressure. We just don't use our time wisely. I've spoken about this on Mommy Trader before, where I said I used to say all the time, especially when we first started our journey, I just didn't have the time. I was a mother, I was a wife, worked. I just didn't have the time. And the truth was you did have the time. God was like, girl, you do have the time. The time where you're sitting here watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta, you could be turning on something, listening to something, reading something for 30 minutes or an hour every day. Or if I'm in the car and I'm in traffic, I could turn on a podcast like the one you're listening to now. You don't have to like sit and do nothing while listening to this. You could be working, you could be cleaning, you could be driving, you could be, doing laundry or whatever it is, and still your ears are open to receiving information. And I've learned that I need to use my time wisely, and I can double time. It's like a military term, but basically you could do two things at once. If I am, for example, if I'm folding laundry does not take me any brain power. I know how to fold a shirt without even looking at the actual shirt. And I actually did a test run of this to see if I'm actually paying attention, like focus on what I'm doing, or if I'm just like glancing at it, but I'm watching TV or I'm watching a movie while doing laundry. And the fact was, it took me no brain power to fold a shirt, to fold pants, to fold towels. It's on autopilot because I've done it so much that now I can turn on CNBC. or Fox Business. I could listen to a documentary talking about retirement. I could watch some of my favorite finance YouTubers. Like, I'm using my time for in two different ways. You guys understand what I'm saying? So that's what I did, is using my time wisely, because now I'm educating myself while getting something done at my house. I cannot tell you how good that feels to knock two things out like that, and that helps alleviate a lot of the pressure. Let's also talk about the not the financial, but the family repercussions. When we are the first to do things in our family, especially when other family members find out, you'll get snarky remarks. You'll get comments like, oh, well, you think you're better than us. And you have to prepare yourself emotionally for that. And sometimes that pressure can present itself in a negative way, where you're just going to work yourself to death so to prove somebody else wrong. And one of the things that I had to do, that I had to learn the hard way, is you have to forgive people for what they say and move on. If you carry all of that negativity inside of you, guess what? It's going to destroy you. You killing yourself working 5 jobs to prove an auntie or a cousin wrong isn't changing their thought process. If anything, it's going to make them say more snarky comments. It's going to get them to, get others in your family to feel like you're better than. And I was talking to my husband about this recently, when a cousin said the same thing, like, if I say no to people, and I have an episode coming soon about saying no and why sometimes saying no is a good thing, especially when it comes to your finances. But if you say no to family, if you say, it's not the best time for me right now, that they will say, well, you think you're better than us, And one of the things that I said was, well, you know what? Yes, I'm better at being responsible. I'm better at being wise. I'm better at following instructions. I'm better at being a good steward. I'm better at managing my money. I'm better, at this and that. And so when I said that, the other person was like, yeah, because yes, if you want to break it down in terms of, am I better? Yes, I'm better at doing right with what God gave me. You aren't, and you need to be better. So having those conversations where you feel confident in knowing that what you're doing is going to benefit and make things easier for yourself down the road. Okay. But prepare yourself, because again, you want the pressure to motivate you positively. Even if you decide to take an extra side job, that pressure of, this side job is going to get me my house. This side job is going towards my down payment. So I'm happy about this. This side job is going to help me invest more. This side job is going to help me pay my car off by September 2023. That's positive pressure, right? That's that fire that's helping to fuel us to get to our goals. But if you are doing those things because you're trying to prove an aunt wrong, you're trying to show people in your family or people on your job that I got it, that I made it, let me just tell you, you are digging yourself into a hole. You can't please everybody, and it's okay. I'm here to tell you it's okay. And here's another thing. You got to learn to love people from a distance. That's an art. And once you get that under control, loving people from a distance so that you can keep your peace, it changes everything. And at the end of the day, stick to your principles. If a family is going on a cruise or a vacation, I got a comment about this once. And one of my commenters said that they said, no, they couldn't afford to go to the family reunion, which was on a cruise. I mean, what happens to family reunions like at a park or something? But on a cruise, she couldn't afford it. She decided to stay home and pay her car off, and she was called dumb for it. Like, that's so dumb. Like, you got the rest of your life. No, she is doing something really smart, because the person who said that, and I told her this, the person who said that is the foolish one. They don't see all of the red flags around them. The Fed is going to, if you have a variable interest rate on your car loan, guess what? Your payments are going to go up. Your credit card payments are going to go up. So the fact that my commenter decided, you know what? I'm not going on a family cruise this year. I can save that several $1,000s and pay my car off. And that's what she did. And I said, 2 thumbs up, girl. I'm right behind you 100%. If nobody else is behind you, Shalise, Mommy Trader, is behind you. So again, there's pressures to that. You make a sacrifice. You can't go to family reunions. You can't, and we don't do things inexpensive anymore, especially like on the job or like family reunions, even like Christmas or potlucks or gatherings. It's not, I mean, back in the day, we would just play games, like board games, have some food. Now it's like we got to go somewhere. Let's meet here. And all that costs money. And they don't realize, well, not everybody can afford that. And sometimes people don't think or are considerate and asking themselves, when I'm planning this excursion, can everybody who I'm inviting afford it? Or are we just thinking about ourselves? But that's another that's another conversation that we can have. But these all add to the pressures of being first. When you're trying to just be responsible with what you have, there's a lot of pressures that's coming from you from all different places. It's almost like it's firing from different cylinders. But if you surround yourself, like with my channel, there's a lot of us who are on the same road. You can cut out a lot of that negativity, because guess what? For every one person that has something rude or negative to say, there's 20. I mean, look on my channel. I almost have 12,000 subscribers. You got 12,000 other people on the same journey, thinking the same way. Surround yourself with them. And I'm telling you, you're going to achieve whatever your term of wealth is. If your wealth is being mortgage free, you're going to do it. If your term of wealth is time and freedom to do whatever you want, you're going to be able to do that. And you're going to have that pressure be fuel to your journey versus being a stumbling block or a hindrance. So I hope that you guys enjoyed episode 5 today. I really wanted to just explain, both the good and bad, and just share our experiences. Leave me some comments down below if anything in this episode resonated with you, because I love, hearing your side, your stories, your journey as well. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the podcast, I have all of my supportive links down below. And I do thank all of you for your encouragement, for your support. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so that you will be notified during my next episode, which will be Tuesday. And that will premiere around 6 p.m. Eastern. So again, thank you guys so much. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.